Hi everyone, my name is Erica Thomas and I am an associate professor in the Department of Human Communication Studies. I'm also the co-director of forensics, and I teach a variety of courses, primarily the forensics curriculum, which also includes argumentation and persuasion theory, but I also teach a lot of courses in rhetoric. And in addition to the rhetoric courses, I teach the course in sex and gender and communication studies. I built this course for Canvas around teaching HCOM 330, which is a course entitled Rhetoric of Popular Culture, and it is the course that I will be teaching in the fall of 2020. So to take you to my dashboard, I'm going to actually start with my account and my profile. Included in my Canvas profile here, I have what I would consider more of a professional biography, one that I would probably provide to journals and books that are publishing my work, but I also have a link to academic.edu website, and my very last sentence there is more of a sentence about my own identity and a little bit about who I live with, and in Fullerton, and the fact that I am a pet owner, try to humanize myself just a bit. But the reason I bring this up is because it's in a little bit more contrast to the instructor profile page that I have created for my actual course. And I will go there now. So this is my 330 sandbox. And before actually starting with my home page, I'm going to take you to my announcements. I did want to briefly say that the course HCOM 330 is an introductory course to rhetorical theory and criticism, but it also introduces students to critical cultural studies because that has had a big influence on the discipline and the nature of the study. And so while it is important to remember that we are looking at a lens of examining pop culture texts and artifacts, we do so not only to get the students more excited about the course, but to also truly show them that that's what we often study, our texts and artifacts in popular culture, and then teach them how to critically examine those things. So in terms of my announcement, I give them some information about our course, but I start out right away with our Zoom link to the synchronous lectures. I thought it'd be really important to send them in the right direction for the first class. And then I provide them, I bold here, some more information about me, which is my contact information. I have also included a number of links on this page that takes them to my instructor page, my syllabus, and my home page. And so you will notice that there's a little bit of overlap between this welcome announcement and the home page, but I think that that repetition is going to be useful in the beginning, especially as students work on getting used to this platform. So lastly, I provide them the link again to the homepage, but this time to the course orientation module so they can get started on this before the first class, but it's not a requirement. I actually have the orientation page set to be completed by our second class, so it sets up the second class relatively effectively. So with that said, I will take you back to that homepage. And to begin with, I actually had a little fun creating my Bitmoji classroom. I did not create an interactive one for the sake of this activity. I just created an image that I thought would be useful to have on my course, and I thought the students would enjoy it. But I also put in a number of buttons here that I find very useful. So again, built in a lot of links, and I created, so I'll show you, it goes here to my instructor info. And this is where you will see that on the instructor page, I have went ahead and done a little bit more of a personalization of this message. So it's still professional, but it's a little bit more fun and personally detailed with the intention to build community and to set some relation up with my students. So I've included a number of pictures. I had some fun with that, as you can see at the bottom. And this a little bit about me talks to students more about what it is that I like to do in my free time, a little bit more information about my family. And I've tried to clearly organize the different sections with headers. most importantly, replicated that contact information again. But going back to the home page, you will see also a short welcome video.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Erica Thomas. You can call me Dr. Thomas, Professor, Erica, whatever you are comfortable with. I will be your instructor for HCOM 330. I am an associate professor in the Department of Human Communication Studies, and I'm also the co-director of forensics, or the speech and debate team.
So I'll stop it there. It's a little repetitive with some of the stuff you heard at the beginning of this screencast. But I know there was a recommendation to include a lot of your syllabus here. I created it as a button since I've definitely built out the syllabus link there in the navigation bar, and I'll take us to that in a second. I did want to make a note about something I need to work on, and that is accessibility with PDFs. And I guess now's as good a time as any to just go straight to the syllabus page to talk about those challenges, because specifically, well, let me start out by saying I put my course information at the top and my welcome video again. I have embedded what I think is some of the most important information to take away from the syllabus. My actual syllabus, however, is quite long. And what I do is I build all of my syllabi. I've been doing this last few years in infograph software. So I use PictoChart. And here is actually the actual link to the PictoChart that I've created, which includes a lot of information about the course. And with adding some of the remote learning strategies, it just made this even longer. So going back then to my actual syllabus page, you will note, or really I guess I should go back to the home page here, because this is a printable PDF. See, I find that I have some difficulties printing directly from PictoChart, and so I do this to increase accessibility, but ironically it gives it a low accessibility score. So I don't know how many students want a printed copy, and I haven't figured out how to work around this other than just working on getting my PDFs to a more accessible level. So I'm sure because it's a scan, and I'll take you to that really quickly, because this scan, you will see, actually makes it, even though the quality isn't great, it makes it so each section appears on the appropriate pages, and then it becomes easy for the students to print it. So that's a little workaround I'm going to have to keep working on. But in addition to that syllabus page, and of course the link to my schedule of the topics in the synchronous courses, when the assignments are, things like that, students can access this. Now this is in Microsoft Word, so it is somewhat easier to see and gets better accessibility ratings. Oh, there it was, sorry about that. Computer's being a little slow. So this is what my actual course schedule looks like. And I might eventually build this into the calendar. I just didn't have time to do that level of work quite yet. Okay, so lots of links. Again, there's some repetition here, and it gets to the important things like the modules that I have created. So I wanted to go to some of those modules. Before I do, let me make sure I talked about everything in the syllabus section. I did want to mention that I did go ahead and I found this reusable infographic on netiquette. I thought that was kind of fun, so I included that. I've included a number of links to things like where can our students access the technology and the software if they don't have it. I think that's useful. And of course, here are my technology requirements for the course. Now going on to the modules. So our first module is a course orientation module. And again, I've replicated the welcome start here. The About Your Instructor page, which I have already shown you. And then our question and answer discussion board. So here I have done things like I've set the settings so it could have a podcast. I've set the settings so students can respond to each other. I basically created this question and answer discussion board in the same pattern as the one that was found in our own asynchronous course, so that it could be a place where students drop questions about it. And then finally, I actually included the short video on discussion boards that was shared with us. I thought that would be really useful and a nice reminder in terms of you know, what students should do when they approach a discussion board. So that's our course orientation module. The second module, and I think the most important one that I built out, is actually a module that I intend to use week 1. And so I'll start off right away with one assignment that I built in, but this is less of like a course assignment tied to a rubric. I wanted to replicate the Flipgrid assignment that we had in our course, but with a different prompt, so I could have extended introductions on our students and learn more about them. Usually the first class takes a lot longer to meet everybody, and so I'm assuming that we're not going to have time to talk about all of these things that I would like to know about them. That also means, going back to that module, that I wanted to use this module as a way to deal with something that I've been running into, which is the fact that my lectures, my introductory lectures, have been running a very long time, and what used to take me a day to get through now takes 3. So I've built in a screencast of my first sort of lecture to what is rhetoric.
Hi everyone. If you haven't met me yet in our first class, my name is Dr. Erica.
So I'll sort of fast forward there.
I'm going to ask you, what have you heard about the term rhetoric? And what are some of the connotations of the word? Because I'm sure you have some basic understanding of how the term has been used before in your life.
So that's the page I've built into, and I'm going to ask them to watch this 12-minute video. And then after that, it allows us to do a couple of different activities that, again, were actual activities that I did in person in class, but I think that building them out into a virtual assignment is actually, or maybe not assignment's the right word, but a virtual activity is going to allow them to build the confidence to participate more on the second day of class. So I asked them to watch the speech by George W. Bush on 9/11 and apply some of the basic definitional qualities about rhetoric that I present in that first video, so that they can come to class prepared for a longer discussion. I also build out their thinking about these things by providing them with a discussion board. So it has, you know, an interesting name, Campbell and Huxman 7Ps and Herrick's Characteristics of Rhetoric, but this is specifically a discussion board in which they were to briefly provide one characteristic of Bush's address that reflects a characteristic of rhetoric that I present in that PowerPoint. And then in addition to that, they have a short practice quiz. What I like about this practice quiz is I was very insecure the first time I started doing quizzes on titanium. So I thought this was a great opportunity to build up my students' confidence with practice quizzes. And you can see certain things I set up, 5 minutes. I don't want them to take multiple attempts, but I just want them to, you know, have 3 questions available to more or less practice. It's not actually going to have any implications for the grade in their course. In addition to those modules, I've built in my actual historical descriptive analysis, which is their first paper draft. I embedded the instructions directly in there, but I also provide them with the link, again, if they want the Word document to print. And then what was great about this is that I provide the rubric. I built the whole rubric for the first assignment that they will have in the class. And they won't write this paper until they're about a month into the course. But I managed to get that all done and up there with clearance